We're very happy to be here today. We're going to be introducing a project that we just launched. It's actually going to be officially launched in 2 weeks' time, so this is really a preview. We're very grateful to the conference organizers for the opportunity of this presentation. So what we are developing at Queen Mary in partnership with a number of NGOs and a number of other partners that I'm going to be mentioning in a while is the Search and Rescue Observatory for the Mediterranean. Hopefully you will be convinced that it's actually quite a unique tool. It bears some similarity with some of the tools that we've been hearing about in panel 1 and by my predecessor. So, yeah, well, you should be seeing our there. So I have 3 points. Actually, I'm going to be presenting the project, the partners, and the website. So first things first, the project, it has a number of objectives, which I thought would be easier to read, but I'm just going to be mentioning, what do you think? I can just go on, no worries. Oops. Never mind. I think it's okay. Yeah, never mind. I think it's okay. Anyways, so the parts that you cannot read are actually quotes from several personalities about, validating the premises on which the project was launched. So here you have the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, Filippo Grandi, mentioning that the current political debates painting a picture of Europe and the siege is not only unhelpful, but completely out of touch with reality. So that's actually the quote, and that's one of the bases that led us to launch this project. So as a bit of background, just 5 points that I wanted to mention. One is that currently there doesn't exist any monitoring mechanism for search and rescue at sea, search and rescue / incidents of interdiction or pullback by Libyan coast guards and other authorities at the other side of the Mediterranean. Migrant deaths are nonetheless rising, and they've been so for a number of years now, since the records began. And this is despite an increased operational presence in the Mediterranean by several navies and the Libyan and other coast guards, including the Italian and the Maltese and the Greek. And this is especially so since the port closures of this summer by Italy and Malta. Proactive rescue missions have been stopped. I don't know if you remember of the Mare Nostrum mission in 2014. That was stopped on different grounds, including political unsustainability by countries in the north, including this country, claiming that it created a pull factor. Disregarding, nonetheless, the push factors and the need for refugees and other forced migrants to leave situations of complete despair, and the Mediterranean crossing being the only way out of such situations. These rescue missions have been abandoned, and instead they've been replaced with security missions, including cooperation with the Libyan Coast Guard. And by security missions, I would like to mention the border control missions by Frontex, so the Frontiers Agency of the European Union, EUNAVFOR Med, which is the European Naval Force operation of the European Defence and Security Policy, and another operation launched by the NATO in the Aegean. There's allegations of human rights violations multiplying, not only vis-a-vis those migrants which undertake the cross-Mediterranean trip, but also against search and rescue providers, including search and rescue NGOs, but not only. We also have claims of human rights violations against merchant shipping companies and other search and rescue providers in the Mediterranean. Humanitarian assistance, on top of it all, is being criminalized and conflated with smuggling and trafficking offenses. So this is actually the background against which we decided to launch this initiative. The structure of the platform is twofold. So SAROC-MED, the Search and Rescue Observatory for the Mediterranean, is both a consortium and an e-platform. On the consortium side, what it means is that it's an international multidisciplinary association of researchers, civil society groups, and other stakeholder organizations which are working directly with maritime flows across the Mediterranean. In terms of why it's also a platform, this is because what we're trying to do is to coordinate efforts of documenting and acting upon the human rights violations that the SAROPMED records and disseminates. Our mission is actually to set up an independent research-led observatory of search and rescue incidents and related interdiction incidents that happen in the Mediterranean. And this is via a secured digital environment for the collection, storage, and exchange, as well as dissemination of the data that we collect. The idea is to establish a research in action mechanism to ensure maximum impact, so that what we do is not only to store the data, but also to create research-based products that document what is happening on broader spectrum, so not just on the very incidents that have been documented, but also creating a study or an analysis of trends and developments of both flows and typologies of human rights violations at sea. This then feeds into litigation products and advocacy products. And they are shared not only within the partners of the network, but also across the board. They are published on the website, and therefore they're made available to anyone with an interest in the sector. The methodology that we've developed, and I'm talking about the proof of concept, the pilot phase that we've developed covering 2015 up to 2017, so 2 years since the outbreak of the so-called migration crisis in the Mediterranean, and the creation of most of the search and rescue NGOs undertaking action at sea. What we've done is, in partnership with the search and rescue actors, we've created a standard incident report and a set of standard operating procedures for document gathering and evidence storage and recording in the database. There are 2 sides to the platform. There is one members-only database, which is on the back end of the website, is password protected and web secured. There is, with the SAR NGOs, which are direct eyewitnesses to the incidents, store the data according to pre-agreed taxonomies that ensure comparability across time, incidents, and organizations. That produces a visualization that is published on the front end, which is what Oscar is going to be talking about in a couple of slides. That's completely public, and it's available to anyone with an interest. For the time being, we've documented 70 incidents, comprising data from the eastern and central Mediterranean, not so much for the western side of the Mediterranean, because the search and rescue organizations were not active up to very recently on that part of the Mediterranean. So most of the activity concentrates on the central bit of the Mediterranean. And it bears on the activity from the search and rescue NGOs. They are the ones collecting the information that goes on to the database, which is hosted for the time being by Queen Mary, shared and analyzed by the researchers on the platform, and then disseminated by means of scientific publications, including, for example, a very recent report produced by Forensic Oceanography, which is called Mare Clausum, which I'm going to click in a second, so to just have an idea of what our partners are producing. From there, we create short advocacy tools, and our pro bono litigators follow up on worthy cases for strategic litigation purposes. There is one very important activity that has resulted from this Research in Action collaboration based on the incident of 6th of November by an encounter of Sea-Watch, one of the search and rescue organizations, with the Libyan Coast Guard, an incident that was coordinated by the Italian Coast Guard, which we are going to show. I mean, there is a clip that was very telling, and it was all over the news. It was picked up by Amnesty International for denunciation in one of their own reports. That constituted the basis for the forensic oceanography work that reconstructs the entire set of facts on a minute-by-minute, second-by-second reconstruction, and that constituted the basis on which GLAN, the Global Legal Action Network, in cooperation with ASGI, which is the Italian Association of Immigration Lawyers, they put forward a case which is currently pending at the European Court of Human Rights, which is called SS and Others versus Italy. I'm just going to click very quickly on the Mare Clausen report, so as to have an idea of the results of our cooperation. I'm not sure it's going to work, so I'm able to see it, but I'm not. Why it's not showing?
Display
No
settings,
idea,
because the display is different.
You can just close it. Yeah. I think it's fine. We can just keep it.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Never mind. So everyone with an interest on this work can just go on to Google and type Mare Clausen report. You will see that there is a video documentary with the reconstruction of the factual situation of the 6th of November. There are several recordings and several testimonies that were gathered in support of this reconstruction. So you will see several of the testimonies of those who were rescued by Sea-Watch on the 6th of November, and also a map with the coordinates and everything that was happening minute by minute, as well as a cartographic representation of the 6th of November. Now we have to go back to our presentation. Sorry for that.
Which one are you?
None of those. Maybe you can click there. Yeah, yes. That one. Perfect. Okay, so I only have one more slide to go. Actually, a couple of more. So this is the one on the partners. We have search and rescue NGOs, as I mentioned, as well as advocacy and monitoring actors, some of which have been cooperating on a one-on-one, on a one case only basis, such as Human Rights Watch or Amnesty International. We have legal advice organizations as well as academic institutions. And so the different colors that are displayed here correspond to the different categories of partners. In relation to the search and rescue NGOs, I think we have most of those which have been active since 2015. Médecins Sans Frontières are collaborating with SOS Méditerranée, so they're both operating the Aquarius ship with a long record, a long history of private rescues. Jugendrettet, which is operating the Violeta ship, which is currently impounded by the Italian government. Sea-Watch, which is the protagonist of this 6th of November incident that actually is at the basis of the movie that you're going to be projecting at the end of the conference. Mission Lifeline and Proactiva Open Arms, both of which had problems in terms of criminalization of their activities. They've been accused of criminalization for rescue activities. ProMH and SMH the same by the Greek authorities. CI and Refugee Rescue, they are the only ones which have not yet encountered any criminalization on the part of the Mediterranean coast state authorities. Borderland Europe, Alarm Foam and Mare Liberum are advocacy and monitoring actors which cooperate with us. The Global Legal Action Network and the AIR Center are the legal charities which are supporting legal advice and similar activities. And then the academic organizations which are in charge of producing the research products are named there. Forensic Oceanography is one. Queen Mary is hosting the website and has been coordinating efforts since 2017. Brunel, Monash University, Macquarie University, UNSW, Haifa University, Copenhagen, and Goldsmith, they are all partners in our project. The key resource that has resulted from this cooperation is both the back end and the front end of the saropmed.org website. What you have here is actually a copy of the Word document which serves as a basis of the incident report. We are now developing this into an app so that our partners can produce, can fill in this form while at sea, offline, and without access to any network of any sort. That goes directly onto the back end and from there to the front end. I don't know if we have time for a projection of the video, so I'm just going to give the floor to my colleague, our assistant coordinator, for a tour of the website.
Hello everyone, let me see if I can open this link first.
Probably you have to go out.
Can you say it'll help with this?
So you just need to get rid of this. Oh, that's useful. Hold on. Why is it not? Hold on. Stop.
In the slideshow maybe?
In slideshow, yeah. There you go.
Yay.
Yeah.
And do you want the website? There you
Yeah.
go.
Thanks.
Thank you. Well, so this is SaropMed's website. This is the outcome of many months of hard work between us and the partners. So, first of all the elements in the website have been provided by the partners, even the pictures. And these are pictures of real search and rescue operations, as you can see. So, first of all, in the first part of the page, we have a short description of what is SaropMed and the most recent incidents. Of course, all the incidents are provided by the partners, but not only were the partners involved in all the search and rescue operations, but there, as Violeta said, there are also monitoring partners. So even though they might not be rescuing people at the moment, they can report, for example, in the case of Saros 5, when a commercial vessels rescue migrants at sea and sometimes pull them back to Libya because of the orders of the Libyan Coast Guard. Second of all, we have a brief description of our mission and our organization, which Violeta described in the presentation. Of course, our members, and a link to their webpage. But well, the important part here, after the NGO partners, which you can enter any of those, and you will see a brief description of the partner, the incidents in which they were involved, and their vessels. So the main product we have right now is the incident report. As you can see, whenever an NGO is involved in an accident, we wanted to issue a short document because, in the stress situation of a search and rescue operation, it's hard to produce large amounts of information. So we have developed a brief form which they can fill in the sea, and then we will translate it in the web page. Here is a description of the facts. This is a case of the Saros 5, a case of a commercial vessel involved in a search and rescue operation. We have a description that was created by the SAR organization. We have, of course, the information of the organization that was a witness of the case, the vessels that were involved in the search and rescue or the monitoring mission, the type of incident, because sometimes the SAR organizations face problems between the authorities. They are ordered to stay away. The authorities don't want the migrants to go back to go to Europe. So there's a constant struggle in the sea to save lives of people, and without taking them back to Libya, which is not a safe country according to many NGOs and international organizations. Of course, the important information of the date. Yeah. of the date and the starting time. And finally, the location. On our future projects, this location will be important because we want to develop a map where we can put the location of every search and rescue operation. So we can see in which part of the Mediterranean is the most dangerous, and we can focus the effort on that side of the Mediterranean for the SAR NGOs. And to the end, the survivors and fatalities. To close, I just want to say that we have a lot of projects in the future. One of them is the development of an app, like my colleague said, where the NGOs can upload information during the search and rescue operations. This will store into a server, and then when they get to online connection, it will be automatically uploaded in the website. Well, thank you.